All right, so today we're gonna unlock the secrets to financial freedom.
Ooh, I like it.
We're diving deep into advice from somebody who became a millionaire in their 20s
That's right.
from an online video that's just packed with their personal journey and the exact steps they took, and we're gonna break it all down for you.
I love this source material because it's someone who's actually done it. Like, they're not just talking the talk,
Yeah.
They actually walk the walk. And now they're offering these real tactics that you can put into practice today.
It really is like having a financial mentor right in your pocket,
Exactly.
guiding you every step of the way. And, the first thing they stress is figuring out your freedom figure.
I love that term.
Yeah, it's pretty catchy, but what does it actually mean?
Well, it's essentially like your magic number.
Okay.
It's that amount that you need to live comfortably without stressing about money.
Yeah.
Ditch the 9-to-5 grind and pursue your passions. But, the source really emphasizes it's not one size fits all.
So how do we actually calculate this personalized freedom figure?
Well, they actually lay out a really clear process in the video.
Okay.
You start by establishing a baseline. And what I mean by that is you take a hard look at your expenses, what you really want your lifestyle to look like.
Okay.
Housing, transportation, travel, everyday essentials, and of course some fun stuff too.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
You gotta have the fun stuff.
And they even give some interesting examples to illustrate this point.
Like what?
Like, imagine the cost difference between a one-bedroom apartment in Miami versus, say, London. Or picture yourself cruising around in a Porsche 911.
Yeah.
These are the types of lifestyle choices that really factor into your freedom figure.
Yeah, that Porsche is pretty appealing. I'm more of a travel enthusiast myself.
Well, there you go.
So how does that factor into the equation?
Well, they talk about how Gen Z, for example, is way more travel-focused than previous generations.
Yeah.
So, while folks used to think one vacation a year was a luxury, now it's more like 3 trips.
Oh, yeah.
That's the sweet spot.
That's more my speed. Exactly. So if jet setting is your jam, then that definitely affects your freedom figure calculation.
3 trips a year, sign me up.
But let's not forget about the non-negotiables,
Yeah.
The rent, utilities, groceries, all that good stuff.
All the essentials.
Right. It's about painting a realistic picture of your desired lifestyle, factoring in both the necessities and those nice-to-haves.
Yeah.
Once you have that yearly cost of living in mind, then we move on to the next step, which is where the rule of 25 comes in.
Okay, the rule of 25, that sounds pretty intriguing. What is that all about?
So it's basically a guideline to figure out how much you need invested to generate enough passive income to cover your annual expenses,
Okay.
but without eating into your principal. So think of it like living off the returns from your investments, not your actual savings.
So it's like your money is working for you.
Exactly.
Gotcha. But why 25? Is there some sort of mathematical magic behind that number?
It's based on the idea that your investments are going to generate, on average, a 4% return each year.
And you're going to withdraw 4% to cover your living expenses,
Right.
leaving the principal untouched so it can continue to grow.
Okay. That makes sense. But what I find interesting is that the source doesn't really dive deep into the potential pitfalls of this rule.
Well,
Are those returns guaranteed?
not exactly.
Okay.
While the S&P 500, which tracks 500 of the largest U.S. companies, has historically averaged around a 10% annual return, we can't just assume that's always going to be the case.
Right.
There's a lot of different factors, that can influence market performance, like inflation, interest rates, even global events.
Yeah.
So, using a fixed percentage like that can be risky, especially if any unexpected expenses come up.
Right. It's really all about understanding all those different strategies and adapting them to your own needs.
Exactly. And, the source does mention using a platform called Trading 212.
Okay. Yeah.
And they highlight it for its accessibility.
Yeah.
It offers things like fractional shares, meaning you can just buy a portion of a stock and dollar cost averaging, where you invest small amounts consistently over time.
Yeah, those are great features, especially for new investors.
Exactly.
But, for those of us with a little bit more ambitious freedom figures, what if that Porsche is calling your name?
Yeah.
Or, we're dreaming of even more exotic travel destinations. How do we accelerate our progress?
Well, that's where the concept of life hacking comes in. And it's all about finding those clever strategies to save money without feeling like you're sacrificing your lifestyle. So it's all about those little loopholes.
Exactly. What kind of life hacks does the source recommend?
Well, they start with something called car hacking, which basically challenges the idea that we need to be chained to these car loans and constantly chasing the latest model.
Yeah, you see those shiny new SUVs everywhere.
Right.
Easy to get caught up in that.
But here's a reality check. The average monthly car payment in 2024, it's like $734.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money going towards something that's constantly losing value.
So what's the alternative?
The car hacking alternative is pretty simple. Buy a used car, that's already taken the biggest depreciation hit, drive it for a few years, then sell it.
So it's like getting a car on sale.
Exactly.
Without compromising quality.
Right.
I like it. What other hacks did they share?
Get ready for this one, brand hacking.
All right, I'm listening. Groceries are a major expense for me.
So this one's all about being a savvy shopper at the grocery store.
Okay.
Think generic or store brand products.
Oh, okay. Are we talking about those like bland, tasteless knockoffs?
Not necessarily. A study by moneysavingexpert.com found that switching to generic versions can save you 87% compared to their brand name counterparts.
Whoa, 87%. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? They use this classic example, Cocoa Puffs versus Choco Rice.
Okay.
Turns out the Choco Rice, the generic option, costs way less, came in a larger quantity, and most people couldn't even tell the difference in the taste test.
So you're telling me I could be enjoying my cereal and saving money at the same time?
It's a win-win.
But how much could we actually save just by making that one swap?
Well, let's do the math. The source mentioned a potential daily saving of $2.56.
Okay.
Which comes out to like $934.40 per year.
Oh, wow.
And over 5 years, that's $4,672 saved.
Wow. So just making these small decisions can add up to a lot.
It's those small everyday decisions that compound over time.
Yeah, it's like a financial snowball effect.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting with this next one, house hacking.
Okay, house hacking. I'm intrigued. We're not talking about like moving back in with our parents, are we?
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about leveraging your living situation to generate income.
Okay.
Imagine this. You buy a duplex or property with an extra room, you live in one, and you rent out the other.
So it's like living rent-free while you're building equity.
That's the idea. And it's not just limited to homeowners. They shared an example of an Airbnb host who rented out his apartment for a few days each month, and that generated enough income to cover his entire rent.
That's pretty resourceful. What if you're renting, though, and your landlord's not exactly Airbnb friendly?
That's a great point. Always make sure you have your landlord's permission.
Of course.
Before venturing into the Airbnb world.
Got it. Okay. What other hacks are there?
Let's talk tax hacking.
Tax hacking. Okay, before you go any further, we're not talking about like dodging taxes or anything illegal, right?
No. This is not about being sneaky. This is about leveraging legal strategies to optimize your tax situation.
So it's about being smart.
Exactly.
I like it.
So for example, if you have a side hustle or a small business, you can claim deductions for expenses related to your business operations.
Okay.
Like a home office, internet travel.
Makes sense.
So you're essentially reducing your taxable income by accurately reflecting your business costs.
Okay, what other tax-saving gems did they uncover?
Tax-free savings accounts.
Ooh, tax-free is always good.
Right. So in the UK, there's the ISA, where you can save up to £20,000 a year, and all your interest and gains are tax-free.
Wow.
And then in the US, there's the Roth IRA, which offers similar benefits.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
And lastly, they highlighted the importance of deal hacking.
Okay, deal hacking.
Mastering the art of negotiation.
Ooh, I've always admired those people who get those amazing deals.
They make it look so easy.
Yeah, exactly. Any tips for the rest of us?
Absolutely. They emphasize the importance of research, so never accept that sticker price.
Okay.
Know the market value of what you're buying, get quotes from multiple sources, and don't be afraid to walk away if the deal just doesn't feel right.
You got to know your worth.
Exactly. And for those of us who maybe aren't the most confident negotiators, they shared this really cool hack. You can use car buying services like CarMax or Carvana to your advantage.
Oh, interesting.
Get an online quote for the car you're considering as if you were selling it.
Oh, that's smart.
And that gives you a realistic baseline for its true value.
Yeah, like turning the tables.
Exactly. And remember, timing is key. Aim to make significant purchases like a car at the end of the month when salespeople are trying to meet those targets.
Oh, that's good to know.
They might offer you a better deal.
That's brilliant. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something that often carries a little bit of a stigma, credit cards.
Yeah.
The source seems to have a different take on them.
Yeah, they actually debunk the myth that credit cards are like inherently evil.
Okay.
They can actually be powerful tools for building a solid credit score.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically like your financial reputation.
So it's not about avoiding them altogether, but using them responsibly.
Exactly. A good credit score unlocks better borrowing options and lower interest rates. which saves you money in the long run.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Think about buying a house. A strong credit score can be the difference between a favorable mortgage rate and a sky-high one.
Yeah, so how do we avoid falling into that credit card debt trap?
It's all about responsible use.
Mhm.
Keep your balances low, aim to pay them off in full each month. Treat it like a debit card.
Got it.
Only spend what you can afford to repay.
Solid advice. So credit cards are like any tool, powerful when used correctly, but potentially dangerous if mishandled.
Absolutely. And speaking of tools, the source emphasized the importance of diversifying your income streams.
Okay.
It's like building a sturdy stool with multiple legs.
I like that analogy.
If one leg weakens, the others provide support.
So you're not relying on just one single source of income?
Exactly. But, I hear you. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, life gets busy.
Life gets busy. But they actually address this head on in the video.
Okay.
They tackled the whole "I'm too busy" excuse.
Yeah.
And they use this really simple breakdown. They break down the 168 hours that we all have in a week.
Yeah.
And even after you factor in, full-time jobs, sleep, meals, commuting, there's still a surprising amount of free time available.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So it's not about finding the time. It's about making the time
Making the time.
for things that matter.
Okay, but where do we even begin?
They highlighted a bunch of different side hustle options, affiliate marketing, freelancing, e-commerce, even those more classic gigs like window cleaning or car detailing.
So many different options.
It's about finding something that aligns with your skills and your interests and leveraging those to generate some extra cash.
It's amazing to realize that we have so much control over our own financial well-being.
Absolutely. It's all about shifting your mindset and embracing those possibilities.
Yeah, and speaking of mindset, the source touched on a fascinating point about how the rich, the middle class, and the poor view money differently. Okay, I'm curious, what's the difference? So tell me about this difference. How do they view money differently?
Well, they say that while many people see money as a way to just pay bills or buy things,
Right.
the wealthy see it as a tool to generate more wealth.
Okay, so like shifting your mindset from consumption to expansion.
Exactly. And that leads us to this idea of passive income, money that works for you even while you're sleeping.
Yeah. Okay.
The source highlights a few key investment avenues to explore: the stock market, cryptocurrency, and real estate.
Let's start with the stock market. I feel like that can be kind of daunting.
For sure, especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
But, they emphasize that it's really accessible these days
Okay.
with platforms like Trading 212, where you can literally start investing with just £1.
Really, just £1?
Yep. And they even suggest practicing with virtual money first before using real funds.
Oh, that's nice, like a little trial run.
Exactly. A great way to get comfortable with everything.
So for someone who's like brand new to the stock market, what does the source recommend?
Well, they share a personal preference for S&P 500 index funds.
Okay.
They see it as a really reliable long-term investment.
Okay.
And, remember that average annual return of around 10% we talked about?
Yeah.
S&P 500 index funds basically give you a piece of that growth without having to pick individual stocks.
So it's like diversifying within the stock market. Makes sense. Okay. What about cryptocurrency? It's been all over the news lately.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild.
With those swings in value. I mean,
For sure.
it can be a little scary.
Well, the source acknowledges that there's definitely higher risk that comes with crypto,
Yeah.
but they also highlight its potential for growth
Okay.
and the fact that it's pretty easy to get started.
Yeah, you can just download an app.
Exactly. So they suggest approaching it with a balanced perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe allocating a small percentage of your portfolio to those more established coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum,
Right.
but being prepared for potential gains and losses.
So only invest what you can afford to lose.
Exactly.
Now, what about real estate? I feel like that's the ultimate wealth builder.
Yeah, it often is, but it usually requires a lot of money up front.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they mention house hacking as one strategy to get started,
Right.
but they also talk about building a portfolio of rental properties as a way to generate more passive income over time.
That sounds like it would take a lot of work, though.
Yeah, for sure. It's not exactly a passive investment in the sense of just setting it and forgetting it.
Right.
But for those who are willing to put in the time and effort,
Yeah.
it can be a really powerful way to build long-term wealth.
This has been an awesome deep dive.
I know, right?
We've covered so much, from defining our freedom figure, implementing those really clever life hacks, to building credit,
Yeah.
diversifying income, and really embracing that wealth-building mindset through strategic investments.
It's all about taking action.
Exactly, even if it's just one small step at a time.
I love that.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Okay.
Imagine yourself 5 years from now consistently applying all of these
Well,
strategies.
yeah.
What financial goals would feel within reach? What would your life look like?
It's a powerful image to hold on to.
It all starts with that first step and then the next and the next.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us on this financial freedom adventure.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep seeking knowledge, keep learning, and keep striving for your dreams.